Morning, boys and girls. So, the pig woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Decided she needed to go outside. So, I couldn't fall back to sleep. I figured, let's cook something. So, I had an eye around I picked up. I need to re-up on my smoked deli roast beef. Honestly, once you make your own roast beef for your sandwiches, you'll never go buy it again. You can control it, you can flavor it, you can do whatever you want with it. Not to mention save you a ton of money. I mean, you're typically, for a decent roast beef, you're paying maybe 10 on a good day, 10 to 13 a pound, you know, for a good sliced deli roast beef. You can get eye rounds. I typically find mine at Sam's, and it's good Angus, like right around three and change a pound, maybe sometimes 4, just depending. So you really can't beat it. You're saving a ton of money, plus it's way better. So figured I would do a quick little video on my way of making my deli roast beef. So cheers. Got some espresso this morning, and we're gonna try to be a little bit quiet so the wife don't wake up, and let's get this going. So here's my eye. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to get her cleaned up. We're gonna be adding moisture. We're gonna be adding flavor. We're going to rely on the inner fat to give us our flavor. I don't want any fat on the outside. It's just the way I do it. So when it comes to the silver skin, that stuff goes. I just clean it up. Rub does not stick to any of that stuff. Nobody wants to eat that stuff. It's thin sliced, you know, typically at the end, so you don't want to have one entire slice, just a silver skin at the end, you know what I mean? So as far as I'm concerned, it all goes. This whole layer of fat, I'm take that right down, because typically underneath that fat is that you get that silver skin underneath there. And that fat is doing nothing for your flavor on something like this, you know? So we're going to eliminate it. And I probably could have spent this morning and sharpened my knife a little bit, but oh well. It is what it is. Go right through. And we are just going to take that off. Man, this thing's dull as shit. Even the little stuff. I mean, you don't have to get too crazy particular with it, but hey, it's not that big of a deal to just take a little time. I think all that flavor you're gonna have, and all that roast beef. I'm not sure how big this roast is. I believe it was somewhere around 4 or 5 pounds or something like that. So that'll do me for a while. So when it comes to the roast beef, it's typically only me that eats it for sandwiches. I think my family gets enough beef with the dinners I make. So much so I turned my daughter vegetarian, you know what I mean? Oh, damn it, hacked it off. Look at that hack work, guys. Jeez, oh Pete's. Noob here. Now, I usually do my beef like this a different way. This is actually something I just started recently doing. I've been leaving the salt out of my actual rubs. And I found that using the flake, I just I do a little salting on the meat and let it rest in the fridge. And then that way, all that moisture pools up at the top of the meat on the outer layers, and then it grabs all that salt and it sucks that flavor back in. And you're getting that that great punch of flavor and things like that that salt brings you, without a bunch of saltiness, as well as a fair amount of moisture in the meat. So that's how I've been doing all my meat lately. So, man, this is a nice eye around here. So there we are. We got her all trimmed up. She looks good. A couple little pieces here and there, but that won't make any difference. So I always do a wet rub on my when I'm making these anyway. So now that we have that like that, what I'm gonna do is, for one, I'm gonna grab my pan. Yep, I have one that's clean. Alright, now, welcome to Overkill. And then I'm going to grab my salt. This is what I use right here. This is Moldon C, and these are flakes. So they break down and they just melt into the meat. They're not crazy salty. It's fantastic stuff. It honestly is. Now I do not. We've gone over a million times about that stuff, but no, I do not use a binder. I would much rather just roll it. So I'm going to sprinkle the top. A little bit heavy, which it's going to soak in. A lot of the stuff will come, and most of it is going to, it's all going to be thin sliced anyway, so you're not going to get that. You just want that flavor to penetrate that big chunk of meat. So now I'm going to throw some on each edge here. It just makes it easier. Give her a little pat, roll it in there, and then I'll flip it. Clean wipe here real quick. And again, a little bit on the edges. Now we'll take some of this extra here. Get our caps. Just like so. So there's that there. So now it's going to, just gonna put that in the fridge for a little bit while I prepare my wet rub, prepare my injection, you know, things like that. Get the pit lit, you know, go for about an hour. You'll notice when you go to take it back out, there will be no salt. So the only thing that will be left is the cracked black pepper that we're going to put on it right now as well. So ad nauseum about this. Nice, coarse, quarter cracked brown black pepper gives you that aggregate. Smoke sticks to it. It's fantastic stuff. So we're just gonna give this a nice coat. And again, lace the sides a little bit here. And yes, probably should be wearing nitrils if you are preparing for somebody else. This is mine. My hands are clean. They always are. I haven't killed anybody yet. But I always make sure to wipe down. So it's for the record. And our end caps. Look at that. That's beautiful. So, like I said, I'm gonna put it back in the fridge while I get everything else prepared. And when we pull it, there will be no salt. The salt literally just melts in, disappears. The only thing that'll be left, it'll be a nice red color, deep red, and nothing but black pepper left on there. So let's refrigerate it and we'll get the other stuff ready. All right, guys. So it's been about an hour, a little more, and I've had my eye out, getting warmed up. For injections, things like that, I like to make sure the meat is at room temperature. You know, it just loosens everything up, makes it more susceptible to pulling all that flavor. You know, otherwise everything's tight, everything's that. You end up with just pockets, you know, stuff like that. So anyway, this is what we got. Let's give you a good one. All right, so here's our round. As you can see, most of the salt is just gone. It's been pulled in there. Outside is still a little moist. Our peppers created a nice little crust. She's good. So over here we got about a tablespoon or so, and you know, a couple tablespoons of dill, a couple tablespoons of thyme, a couple tablespoons of rosemary, and 4 cloves of garlic. Ran my blade through the herbs a few times. My injection is a half cup of vegetable stock, 1 cup of beef stock, and a 1/4 cup of prime dust, which is essentially concentrated beef from Butcher Barbecue, and about a teaspoon of Worcestershire, just to give it a little punch in the face, you know what I mean? So what we're gonna do is, to make some room, I am going to toss my herbs into their bowl that we're going to be mixing our wet rub in. Get these off the table here. And we are going to get this bad boy injected. Let me give her a couple of spins, make sure that that prime dust is fully dissolved in there. I like to let my injections sit out as well, you know. And let's do this. I'm gonna set this bad boy at 4, and let's inject some beef. So I'm gonna start at one end, in and out a little bit, create a pocket. And just go across like a grid. See, when the beef is warmed up like that, it doesn't want to spit back out at you. You know what I mean? It's just like, all right, I'll take it. Thank you. May I have another? And this is going to give just give it a ton of moisture, ton of flavor, more beefiness. It is roast beef, you know. And I'm gonna go about inch spacing, because with the meat warm like that, it does a pretty good job at pulling throughout the meat, you know. So you can do a good inch gap in between your grids. Oh, I got an extra. So right now I'm bringing the needle pretty much all the way in. So on my next pass, I will keep it a little bit, you know, about halfway. And we found a way out. So now I'm only gonna go about half down in between the grid that I just did. This is to make sure the entire roast gets it. Top, bottom, middle, you name it. You're gonna lose some, but it's all good. Yes, even with the stock coming out, our S&P is still just staying on there where it belongs, you know? That's what I like to see. We got a little tough side over here. It's almost as if that side didn't warm up as much. Very strange. All right, guys, that should do her. Why not, right? Finish this needle off, or finish this thing off here. All right. So there she is, all injected up. Ooh, man. Smell, the smell, the smell. All right, so now I'm going to take our herbs and garlic here. And I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. You can use olive oil if you want. And I like to add about a teaspoon of granulated onion. And just for that little love, should have had it out. Ancho chili powder. Just gives it a nice, just a nice depth. And we're gonna mix this up. Make ourselves a nice little paste. Again, we already salted and peppered the meat, so that's not needed. That's what we got right there. And then we are just going to rub this on the meat. Give her a little pat. Ooh, almost had a bad one there. Spread it around. Let it do its thing. Try to keep that juice away from that a little bit, but Just rub it all the way around there. Doesn't need much. Stuff has a ton of flavor in it. Here, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna lose some of this, otherwise it's gonna wash off all my hard work. All right. And just like that. Now, there's our roast. Beautiful. So, we'll let that hang out for a bit, getting the pit up to temp, and we're gonna go about 250, 275, and straight oak. That's what I like on my beef, oak. So we're gonna get that going, and then we'll get it on the pit. Pit is lit. Got some oak in there, and just a small tiny pile of charcoal. Just get her all fired up. So now we're going to let this thing get warmed up, and then we'll add some water to the water tray system. We'll be back. All right, so we're about 50 degrees away from our target. So we are going to add some water to the water tray system here. So let's pull this guy out. And I know it's hard to see, but there's our water tray back there. Should be nice and warm. Oh yeah, there she goes. So that'll be about 4 cups. And you could use a water pan if you want, you know. It's your prerogative. When I would just want to keep the moisture up, I tend to like to use a water tray. And you know, frankly, that's why I put it onto the smoker. So I can just do that. Here, let me lock her down. All right, so we're gonna let that thing get up to temp, and we'll get our meat on there. All right, guys, so we're out here at the train killer. Let's get our meat on, shall we? Let me move you over here. Should probably work, I would think. So we're running at 250 right now, and 250 according to the grate gauge. So we're gonna toss this guy in. We got our meter right dead in the center, and we're gonna throw this bad boy right about here. Get it locked down. And let's go over here, fire this guy up, and we are using Wi-Fi today, and that's a wrap. She's connected and running. So we are gonna just let that bad boy roll. No need to spritz, no need to pay attention. Water system will handle that. Keep everything moist, keep everything good. Shouldn't need any more oak. Running at 250, this thing, 3-4 logs of oak, it'll take it right on through. So we're just gonna let this thing roll. Got my stacks about half cracked, just because I got a massive amount of draw and it pulls the smoke through the chamber crazy fast. So like to slow it down just a little bit, you know, let that smoke just kind of sink in there, and you know, still enough to where it doesn't get stale, doesn't lay, you know, that kind of stuff. So that's it. We're gonna let it roll, and we're gonna take it to about 125, pull it out, rest it, and then toss it in the fridge before we slice it. So that's what we got going on. Let's get this meat cooked. All right, so she has hit 125. Let's pull her up, see what we got. She over here. man, she's looking good. And grab my tongs. There she is. Oh, smells fantastic. I'm actually doing some chicken, so I'm going to close this thing back up and throw some pecan in her and continue cooking since I got her lit. So, all right, I'm going to bring that in the house. We're going to let her rest. I'm going to let it settle maybe half hour or so. Then I'm going to put it in the fridge, and then we'll slice it up, see what we made. Here we are. Here's our eye around. She rested for about 30, 45 minutes. It's been a couple hours in the fridge. So let's see what we got, shall we? You know what? Hold on one second. Cold meat and all, you know. Oh, look at that beauty. That's gorgeous. Let's give her a little try, shall we? Ooh. She is beautifully tender. Absolutely fantastic. So that's that. You want to make some sandwiches? Do whatever you want. It's the good stuff right there, boys and girls. Smoked deli roast beef for about $4 a pound. So, all right, that's all I got.